Have you ever been in the middle of speaking, sharing something that truly mattered to you, and suddenly someone cuts you off? It happens in meetings. It happens with friends. It even happens in the most intimate moments, when the person you love interrupts you. And here's the real question. How do you react? Do you go silent, shrinking back into the background? Do you smile awkwardly and whisper the words, "Sorry, go ahead"? It feels harmless, but it isn't. Because every time you surrender that moment, you're teaching the world how much, or how little, your voice deserves to be heard. And here's the truth. This is not just about interruptions. It's about power, about presence, about respect. Today, I'll show you something timeless. Just 3 simple words that can stop interruptions in their tracks. 3 words once practiced by Marcus Aurelius, by Seneca, by Epictetus. Words so deceptively simple, yet so powerful, they can silence a room and draw every eye back to you. So stay with me until the end, because once you learn these words, you'll never struggle to be heard again. And if you believe in mastering yourself, in becoming unshakable in a noisy world, then take a moment right now to subscribe. This is Stoic Inspire, where philosophy becomes power and calm becomes your greatest strength. Because the one who commands their voice commands their world. Words and power. What are these 3 words? We'll begin with the very first one. But before we do, let's understand why language itself has always been tied to power in Stoic philosophy. The ancients knew this truth well. The Romans believed that words could shape an empire. One promise could spark a war. One command spoken at the right moment could save thousands of lives. Seneca wrote to Lucilius, "Brevity and calm in speech carry more force than the loudest cries of the crowd." Not volume, not noise, but calm authority. And it's still true today. Power no longer rests in swords or shields. It rests in how you speak. In a meeting, if you can't hold attention, you'll be ignored. In a negotiation, if you can't defend your words, you'll be dismissed. Even in relationships, if you can't steady your voice, you'll be overlooked. Here's the problem. Most of us give our power away. We smile awkwardly. We whisper, "Sorry." We yield. And in that moment, we send a dangerous message. My voice matters less than yours. Marcus Aurelius warned himself daily, "Do not be distracted by what is unnecessary. Hold to what is essential." If you don't guard what is essential in your own words, others will take it from you. So how do you reclaim attention? Without shouting, without anger? Let's start with the first word. A word so simple, so overlooked, yet so powerful. The first word, listen. Why is this word so powerful? Psychologists call it an orienting signal. When you say listen, the human brain is instantly reprogrammed to stop, to focus, to prepare for something that matters. Picture this. You're in a meeting. The room is buzzing with arguments, voices competing for dominance. You don't raise your voice, you don't slam the table, you simply say, "Listen, here's what needs to be finished first." The noise fades, the room falls still, not because you demanded silence, but because the word listen carries weight. It's a gentle command. One of our instincts are wired to obey. History gives us proof. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, was known to pause mid-lesson when his students grew restless. He wouldn't scold them. He wouldn't shout. He would simply scan the room, lift his gaze and say slowly, "Listen." And in that single word, order was restored. Silence became his ally. Centuries later, Martin Luther King Jr. echoed the same principle. In his legendary "I Have a Dream" speech, he often began with the phrase, "Now, listen." Thousands of people were chanting, clapping, shouting, yet at those words, they leaned in. The crowd surrendered its noise to the gravity of his voice. That's the lesson. When you use listen, you remind others that your words carry value. You're not asking for permission, you're declaring presence. But listening alone isn't enough. Attention fades unless it's anchored to meaning. You must show people why they should care, why your words deserve priority. And that's where the second word enters, the one that changes the entire hierarchy of any conversation. The second word, important. The second word is important, simple, direct, yet often underestimated. When you combine it with listen, it changes everything. Listen. This is important. Those four words create instant gravity. They separate noise from signal, distraction from purpose. You see, people don't just respond to volume, they respond to value. When you label something as important, the mind instinctively prepares to receive it. It's how our brains prioritize survival, learning, and memory. The Stoics knew this long before neuroscience gave it language. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But he also wrote something less quoted, yet equally powerful. We lose ourselves when we speak carelessly. Every careless word weakens your credibility. But when you speak with intent, when you preface your thought with importance, your words become rare, and rare things command attention. Marcus Aurelius practiced this in silence before he spoke. He asked himself, "Is what I'm about to say necessary? Is it true? Does it serve the common good?" That's how every emperor, every philosopher, every leader learned to wield speech, not with noise, but with necessity. So next time you're interrupted, don't compete with chaos. Don't rush to be heard. Pause, look up, say calmly, "Listen, this is important." You'll feel the shift immediately. People turn, eyes refocus, the space clears. Because when you decide your words matter, the world begins to agree. But there's one more word left, the one that transforms power into respect, the one that makes even silence obey you. The final word, enough. The final word is enough. It sounds simple, almost too soft to carry power. But this one word can end arguments, silence manipulation, and restore balance in an instant. Because enough is the language of boundaries. It's the point where self-respect speaks louder than emotion. When someone pushes too far, demands too much, interrupts too often, enough is the line that quietly says, "You will not take more than this." Epictetus taught this lesson through action, not anger. He said, "If you wish to be invincible, wish for nothing outside your control." And sometimes what's outside your control is another person's noise, their expectations, their attempts to pull you into their storm. That's when enough becomes not a reaction, but a declaration. Imagine someone cutting you off for the third time. You stop, you meet their eyes, you say calmly, "Enough." No shouting, no frustration, just finality. In that silence you reclaim what's yours, presence, peace, and power. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are clear, your boundaries follow. And enough is the purest expression of clarity. It says, "I have spoken my truth. I will not repeat it. I stand where I stand. And those who respect strength will hear you. Those who don't will reveal themselves." That's the quiet authority of a Stoic. No noise, no drama, just calm control. So now you know the three words: listen, important, enough. They're not just phrases, they're tools for self-mastery. Use listen to anchor attention. Use important to add weight to your truth. Use enough to draw your boundaries with dignity. That's how a Stoic speaks. Not with noise, not with anger, but with clarity. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to argue to win. You just need to mean every word you say. Because the world doesn't respect the loudest voice. It respects the one who speaks last, with calm conviction. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." And in today's world, bravery often begins with the courage to speak less and mean more. So the next time someone interrupts you, don't shrink, don't rush, just breathe. Let silence work for you, and say your words with purpose, because your voice carries power. This is Stoic Inspire, where calm becomes strength and wisdom becomes your weapon. Speak less, mean more, command your world.